one of the things that I was inspired by when I was studying world religion was that there are traditions that continue to bring people together around shared values and purpose in ways to support and heal and grow for over 1,000 years. And I noticed that there was a lot of wisdom that I was recognizing these traditions that we've lost in our culture, and thus we're in a lonely time. So it's been a pleasure to be able to reshare really old wisdom so that we can come together in ways that have been enriching us for generations.
Well, and one of the things that I love about some of the things that you're putting out, some of the conversations I've heard you have in the past, is really reminding people on the importance of face-to-face connection. And that's something that I've been studying within the military culture as that has broken down over time, like I said, to move to an online community. And one of the things that we have seen is that when people suffer together, their connection deepens, their intimacy and their relationships deepen, and that allows for more resilience. It allows for, I guess, a community that suffers together moves through that suffering in an easier way. And so I love the fact that you really are bringing people back to that place where we sit across the table from someone and meet them right where they are. And we also get to feel seen in that as well. So I think maybe to start with, could we just talk for a second on what might seem like a really obvious question, but I think this is a good refresher and a reminder to those of us that are listening here of, if we have this massive loneliness epidemic that we have right now, Gen Z being the loneliest generation to date, let's just talk a little bit about why connection, specifically in-person connection, is so, so important, and why we should be intentional to bring it back.
So you're right that it's good that we are aware that and why we should come together in friendship, right? And when we have a group of friends, we create a community. The research is overwhelming that these relationships that make us stronger are terribly important at, I think, every level of our lives, to the point where the most recent Surgeon General declared the loneliness epidemic a priority for his office. And for example, he highlighted research that shows that when we're lonely and we don't have those connections, our physical health erodes, stress hormones, susceptibility to life-threatening diseases goes up. And then we also know that social help is really important as far as just having confidence and being motivated to do things, to be engaged in the world. And we now know there's research that shows that the social connections around us also help our civic health. It's very hard to govern a city or a state or even a country if we're disconnected in our values and our priorities. And so by getting out and creating those relationships, we're also helping our entire country.
So, so important. And I know one of the things I'm trying to really encourage people to do is just sitting across the table and seeing someone again, sitting eye to eye. There's a difference between having conversations online and having conversations with someone you're looking in their eyes, right? And there's a lot of great concern. I think there's probably a lot of great anxiety for people at the thought of bringing people together in person. We've become a culture where we are afraid of our neighbor. We're afraid of even some of our family members because of how polarized we've become, maybe how our silos feel like they're getting farther and farther apart. And so maybe that's the first thing we should actually talk about here is one of the things that could keep us from getting back together in person again is our fear of actually getting together in person. And so what are you seeing as far as the anxiety? I know I see a lot that there's anxiety of what if this topic comes up? What if, do we even want to get to know people again, make friends again outside of our safe circle? So what are some of the challenges that you're seeing that keep people from leaning into even valuing that connection again?
Yeah, we can acknowledge that the growing polarization in our country is real, and it's documented in research. And the concern that gatherings can become uncomfortable because of that polarization is also real. And I've talked to people, bringing people together from schools across the country and people working with veterans, and they are concerned that they create events that may become volatile. And so I'm acknowledging that's real. I don't encourage someone who wants to be more connected. And you and I have talked about how military families are constantly moving, and they're in a place where they don't have longstanding relationships. They don't have someone to call for, figuratively or literally, to call for a cup of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not encouraging people to find people they know they're uncomfortable with, that they're aware that conversations could quickly become volatile, and commit there to find the community that's going to support them. There is a time and place for that, and I hope that happens. But that is not where we start when we're moving to a new place and we just want to have friends that we know can be helpful and be support to us and we can be support to them.